911, what's your emergency?
A date arranged on Tinder. A disappearance that shook Nebraska. And a discovery too brutal to forget. Wilbur, Nebraska, the 15th of November, 2017. The air was sharp with winter. The streets quiet in the small town. Sydney Loofe, 24 years old, worked as a cashier at a local hardware store. She was known for her easy smile, her love of animals, and her trust in people she met online. That evening, she prepared for a second date with Bailey Boswell, a woman she had connected with on Tinder. Sydney posted a final message on Snapchat, "Ready for my date." She never returned. The following morning, Sydney's co-workers noticed her absence. Calls went unanswered. Texts delivered but ignored. Her parents, George and Susie, reported her missing. The atmosphere shifted from routine to alarm. Wilbur police began canvassing neighborhoods, tracing her last movements. Detectives quickly learned of Bailey Boswell. Surveillance footage showed Boswell picking Sydney up in her car. The two drove off into the night. Boswell later claimed they had gone to smoke marijuana and hang out. But Sydney's phone went dark soon after. By November 16, the Nebraska State Patrol joined the search. Flyers appeared across town. Friends shared Sydney's photo online, her pastel hair and bright eyes staring back from missing person posters. The community rallied, but unease grew. Investigators dug deeper. Boswell was not alone. She lived with Aubrey Trail, a man decades older, with a history of fraud and manipulation. Their names surfaced quickly in connection to Sydney's disappearance. Detectives noted inconsistencies in their stories, evasive answers, and a sudden attempt to flee town. The case was no longer a missing person search. It was the beginning of a homicide investigation. Sydney's last message, "Ready for my date," became the haunting marker of her final hours. The missing person case had already escalated. Flyers covered storefronts. Sydney's photo shared across Facebook and local news. Her parents pleaded for information, their voices breaking in interviews. The Nebraska State Patrol expanded the search radius, combing rural roads and abandoned lots. Detectives focused on Bailey Boswell and Aubrey Trail. Both became prime suspects. Yet when questioned, their stories shifted. Boswell posted a video online insisting she had nothing to do with Sydney's disappearance. Trail echoed her denial. Investigators noted the defensive tone, the rehearsed words. By late November, the FBI joined the case. Agents traced cell phone data, mapping Sydney's last movements. Pings led them to remote farmland outside Wilbur. Search teams moved in, dogs scouring ditches and fields. The atmosphere was tense, each hour deepening dread. On the 4th of December 2017, the breakthrough came. Investigators discovered black trash bags scattered across rural Clay County. Inside were human remains. Forensic teams confirmed the identity: Sydney Loofe. The dismemberment was brutal, deliberate. Autopsy reports later revealed she had been strangled with an extension cord before her body was cut apart. The discovery shifted the case from disappearance to homicide. Evidence bags filled with duct tape, cords, and knives were cataloged. Detectives reconstructed the timeline. Sydney picked up for a date, taken to Boswell and Trail's apartment, murdered, then dismembered and discarded. The community mourned. Vigils lit the streets of Wilbur, candles flickering against the cold. Sydney's parents stood silently, faces etched with grief. The investigation had found her, but the brutality of the crime left scars that would not fade. Detectives moved quickly. Aubrey Trail and Bailey Boswell were already under surveillance. Their movements tracked, their statements dissected. On December 17, federal agents arrested Trail and Boswell in Missouri after a brief manhunt. They were found living out of a motel, carrying cash and stolen goods. The arrest was quiet, but the weight of the charges was immense. Both were transported back to Nebraska under heavy guard. In custody, Trail began a series of bizarre statements. He admitted involvement, but claimed Sydney's death was accidental. He spoke of witchcraft and sex fantasies, weaving stories that investigators dismissed as manipulative diversions. Boswell echoed his claims, insisting Sydney had willingly joined them. Detectives noted the rehearsed tone, the attempt to distort reality. Prosecutors filed charges of first-degree murder, improper disposal of human remains, and conspiracy. The evidence was overwhelming. Surveillance footage, cell phone data, forensic confirmation of strangulation, and the discovery of Sydney's dismembered body. The courtroom atmosphere was tense from the start. Trail appeared defiant, sometimes shouting at reporters, sometimes collapsing theatrically. Boswell maintained a quieter demeanor, but her denials rang hollow against the evidence. Sydney's family attended each hearing, their grief visible, their resolve unbroken. They listened as prosecutors outlined the brutality of the crime, as defense attorneys attempted to cast doubt, as judges weighed motions. By early 2018, the stage was set for trial. The charges were locked, the evidence cataloged, and the suspects confined. What had begun as a missing person case was now a capital murder prosecution. The community braced for the proceedings, knowing the details would be darker still. June 2019. The courthouse was packed, every seat filled with family, reporters, and community members. The air was heavy with anticipation. Aubrey Trail and Bailey Boswell faced charges of first-degree murder, conspiracy, and improper disposal of human remains. The trial would reveal the darkest details of Sydney's final hours. Prosecutors opened with the timeline. They displayed surveillance footage of Boswell picking Sydney up for their date. They showed cell phone records tracing Sydney to the apartment Trail and Boswell shared. They presented forensic evidence, the extension cord used to strangle her, the knives used in dismemberment, and the trash bags scattered across rural fields. Each piece was cataloged, precise, undeniable. Detectives testified about the discovery of Sydney's remains. Forensic experts described the autopsy findings: strangulation, dismemberment, no defensive wounds. The brutality was clinical, the evidence overwhelming. Trail's behavior in court was erratic. At one point, he slashed his own throat with a razor blade during testimony, collapsing in front of the jury. He survived, but the act underscored his volatility. Boswell maintained composure, insisting she had no role in Sydney's death, portraying herself as manipulated by Trail. The defense argued mental instability, claiming Trail's obsession with witchcraft and fantasy blurred reality. They suggested Sydney's death was accidental, the dismemberment, a panicked cover-up, but prosecutors pressed intent. Trail and Boswell planned the murder, carried it out, and attempted to erase Sydney's existence. Sydney's family sat silently through each testimony. Her parents held hands. Her friends wept quietly. Each detail reopened wounds, each photograph a reminder of the life stolen. By October 2019, the jury delivered its verdict. Aubrey Trail was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. Bailey Boswell was convicted in 2020 and sentenced to life in prison. The courtroom chapter closed, but the grief remained. But the echoes of Sydney's murder carried far beyond the walls of justice. For Sydney's family, grief remained permanent. Her parents spoke of her kindness, her love of animals, her trust in people. They kept her photographs in their home, her artwork preserved, her memory alive in vigils and anniversaries. Each candle lit was both tribute and reminder of the life stolen. The community of Wilbur carried scars. Residents recalled the missing person flyers, the weeks of searching, the shock of discovery. The brutality of the crime left a mark on the town's identity, a reminder of vulnerability, even in quiet places. Nationally, the case became a warning. Commentators pointed to the dangers of online dating, the fragility of trust in digital connections. Scholars dissected the trial, noting how forensic evidence, cell phone pings, surveillance footage, autopsy reports built an unshakable case. Documentaries replayed the timeline, each retelling sharpening the question: how could a simple date end in such calculated violence? Sydney's story became more than a local tragedy. It became a symbol of how obsession and manipulation can hide behind ordinary facades. Trail and Boswell were not strangers in the shadows. They were people Sydney trusted enough to meet. That trust was exploited. Her life taken, her body discarded. The legacy was twofold: justice delivered in law, and a warning carried in memory. Sydney Loofe's name became a marker of caution, a reminder of the fragility of safety in the digital age. The case closed with a verdict. But the grief, the questions, and the lessons endure.